All right, Open Water Season 2, Episode 6, Take 2.
How you doing out there?
Hope you're having a great day. It's
Hope
Monday.
you're still, yeah. No one this Sunday lost any appendages
that we saw.
that we saw.
That we saw.
I guess they would have been there.
Did you enjoy your fireworks?
Yeah, it was awesome.
It was awesome. I just
Favorite firework, if we
Favorite
can start there, is the little tubes of army men.
those are the
shoot off
great.
and they
Yeah,
parachute.
the parachute men.
Everyone runs to catch them.
Yeah, they're the best.
Great time.
I did one a long time ago that shot off like 12 all at once. It was like
Ooh, a
and that
platoon.
was really cool.
Yeah,
I've not seen one since. I've seen the big guys and a
Feels
bunch of
real.
little ones.
it feels too real.
It's cool. There's a lot of parachutes that come down.
Anyway,
I'm also a fan of fountains. I think fountain fireworks are underrated.
yeah.
That's my hot take about fireworks. Is they put them on the ground.
Mhm.
They just kind of shoot off. But I think so they're just nice. They're nice fireworks because the mortars are cool. Obviously, the cakes are cool, but fountains are nice.
All right, this is good fodder for our first segment. We're gonna switch things up a little bit. It's not gonna be silly things.
Mhm.
It's not gonna be whatever the
Sleepy things.
sleepy things. You know,
It's gonna be
today
the little
it's
things.
the little things. What are the little things that add the
They
spice to
always
life?
bring me down. Yep. Yeah. Do you have one? Do you have a little thing that just spices up your life?
It's the grape soda coffee at the Coastlands.
Whoa! You don't even drink that.
the little
It's my
things.
order.
What's yours? It's the little things.
It's a little things. I'm gonna say
Jimmy Eat World style. It's just the little things.
Did they sing a song called Little Things?
It's just the little things.
Oh, I was singing Good Charlotte, The Little Things.
Oh.
That's a great song.
Mm.
My little thing is when a restaurant has mints.
That's a very good little thing.
I think that's just
Yeah.
it's just a delight.
Especially the like a lot of Thai
Mm-hmm.
or Asian restaurants.
Sushi
will
restaurants have a
the ginger candies.
oh.
and too.
I've
Those
never
are a
had one
delight.
of those. I think those are a great touch.
Mhm.
You know, they're dirt cheap.
Yep,
and you're
yep.
just like, I've been to
Mhm.
churches too that do mints in like the bathrooms and stuff, but I
Ooh.
feel like kids just take them all and
Speaking of which, that's my little thing.
they're stealing mine mints.
When there's
into the
a-
bathroom.
When a bathroom has good odor protection, good urinal cakes maybe.
Oh, I was like, what are you talking
And
about?
when a bathroom has solid urinal cakes,
Those are
a
nice.
good strong
Yeah,
citrus
you walk
scent.
in and
Yeah.
clean bathroom.
It's the little things.
It's the little things. That's it. All right,
Mhm.
we're mixing it up. We're not doing unpopular opinions today. It turns out it's not a wildly popular segment.
Which is
So,
crazy to me.
Yeah. Amongst all of our wildly
thought-
popular segments, that
Yeah.
was not one of them. So we're gonna steal one called Mount Rushmore.
Yep, this is a
Famous-
classic.
It's a famous segment.
Everyone's been out to the Dakotas where you see the heads,
Yep, the
the
great
rocks.
heads. Yep, great.
except for me. But
So we're gonna give a topic,
Yeah.
and then we're gonna say three things, top three surrounding that.
yep, what would be on your Mount Rushmore?
All right, you have the topic today.
Yep, the topic is going to be things that are not good to be late to.
Things.
There's
that
the
are-
Mount Rushmore, things not good to be late to.
top three.
Mhm.
I go first. You go first.
Either one.
I'm going to say your wedding.
That's a good one.
Yep.
It's a good
Survey
one.
says my wedding.
Yep.
I feel like that would be a really bad thing to be late to.
Trying to think of at what point in my wedding starts. At what point is it
I feel
very awkward?
The advantage of the groom is because the order of events is the groom typically walks either with the officiant down
Mhm.
or with so like if the groom's not there, typically the wedding doesn't start.
Right.
But I feel like if the bride's not there, everyone's lined up and you're waiting. So if you're the bride, you're like you are in trouble. like,
True.
right? But if you're the groom,
There is there is a clock. Like after a certain minute, it's like, do we have a runaway bride situation?
right.
on our
But
hands?
I do feel like there should be a rule around weddings because I've been to weddings where they start at let's say 3 p.m.
Mm.
And like, how long would you wait for a wedding to start before you like start to like begin to be like, I gotta go? Like, what's because like in like college courses or like
Mhm.
there's a like 15 minutes, then you can leave.
If the professor doesn't show
Yeah,
up.
yeah. What's
Yeah.
the wedding timer?
For a wedding, depends on how far I traveled to get there. Maybe
Mhm.
if it's a local situation,
Let's say it was an hour and a half away.
hour and a half away, then I'm waiting half of that. I'm waiting half. the travel
45
time.
minutes. So you're gonna wait till 3:45.
Yep. Mm-hmm. feel like that's fair. I'd feel settled.
I think if I didn't see movement
Mm-hmm.
after 25 minutes, I'm
Mhm.
out.
I am a big fan of weddings that are like ceremony lasts 15 minutes tops. There's a lot of Wisconsin weddings in particular that end up this way. It's just,
I've done several weddings.
Mhm.
By several weddings, I've done a lot of weddings, and I've done some long weddings.
Mhm.
But I have found the 12 to 18-minute wedding
Sweet spot.
is, unless there's like extra elements. If there's like, if they want to do like feet washing or candles or ropes or sand or plant a tree,
Yeah.
like that's different. But if it's like just kind of like vows, message,
Yeah.
ring exchange, that 12 to 18
Mhm.
minute mark is money, especially if they're outside. If they're outside, dude, like we're in Florida.
Yep.
It's
Oh,
hot.
gosh.
It's hot always. Like,
Mhm.
in November, it's still hot.
Very good point.
And so,
Moral of the story: don't be late
I'll let you
to weddings.
Yeah, there you go. You're
That's
up.
a good one. All right. Flights. Have you ever played it close?
No,
No.
I'm really responsible.
Well, MCO, it's difficult. You really don't know what TSA is going to be. But if you fly out of SFB, you could show up 5 minutes before the plane takes off. And
You've got. I feel like
Cruise right
you risk it for the biscuit with flights.
I do a little bit. I play a little close.
No, we're like the show up 3.5 hours early, get breakfast,
I see.
then get another cup of coffee. Kind of like we're those people.
It's turned into just like catching a bus for me. It's just like,
Yeah,
I'll make it.
If
We'll
you travel
see
with
if I make
kids,
it.
it's like you're toast. Like you're just like you don't know what's gonna happen.
Fair enough.
So you're just like
Ample time.
We'll show up. Yeah.
All right,
I,
next.
I think you learn a lot about people. I think the next interview, whenever that day comes and I'm interviewing people,
Yeah.
I'm gonna ask like, explain to me how you take a flight, because I think that reveals so much about people.
The logistic, how they.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I think some people are like, oh, I get up 3 hours earlier. They're like, whatever. Like there's some people who like, like when do you start packing? Like when do you start packing? If you were flying back to the Midwest for let's say a week.
A week?
Yeah, a weekend's not fair because you can just throw that in a backpack.
Sure,
and, like,
sure.
Scoot.
Night before.
That's crazy.
Yeah. I don't do travel logistics. I just outsource. I usually just buy stuff when I get there. I don't.
Brand new clothes from Kohl's.
Yeah.
Well,
Honestly,
you're like grab
great
like,
excuse to go to Kohl's.
what's in your backpack? Just Kohl's cash.
Yeah. So you're only limited for domestic flights. You can only carry so much Kohl's cash. Turns out.
All right.
Anyway.
So flight.
Yep.
I'm gonna say your court date. If you have to go to court, I've never been to court. I've never.
That sucks to be late too.
I've been to court to support people. I've never had to go to court for myself.
Sure.
But I can imagine the ramifications.
Yeah.
You were in court and you showed up late. I think you kind of lose the case.
That's a good
I
one.
think that's a rule in court where if you're just late,
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
just like guilty.
All right. Yeah, that's good. You don't want to be late either to sucks to be late to picking up your online Chipotle order.
Really?
Yeah, it's all cold and congealed and it's already like
How do you put that next to a flight and your court date? Like you're like
Saying
your
it's-
Chipotle order.
Yeah, equal emotions for me.
Soggy rice.
Uh-huh.
Great. Number 3 for
Burrito.
me.
Yeah, round it out.
I feel like it's really. This is like less serious. I was gonna say funeral, but I had an experience last night where 2 guys walked in 35 minutes late to a movie, and I thought that was the most annoying thing because they also were confused about where their seats were, and they're like, "You're in our seats."
Causing
and
a
you're like,
scene.
yeah, it's like first off, you're 35 minutes late.
Yeah,
Second,
yeah.
you're loud and your flashlight's on your phone, and you're like, "What are you doing?" I just feel like that's just like you lose. Like movie started, they should lock the doors and just be like, "Go home, you missed it."
Wow.
So, yeah,
Stricter policies around.
yeah, I'm not a big fan of going to the movie theater anymore. I've realized.
Wow. Okay. Yeah.
The social rules have changed. People are on their phones the whole time. People are talking. People like. I went to see Jurassic Park, and there was a baby in a baby carriage in the 3rd row.
Oh yeah.
The baby was crying, and they stayed in the movie theater. And I was like, in what world is this socially acceptable?
Where's the order?
Yeah.
Where's the order?
Yeah, you know what I would rather do?
Mhm.
Watch it in 3 weeks in my living room and pay less money and eat my own snacks and pause it whenever I want.
No, this isn't a sign of getting old or anything. Not at all.
Perhaps. I own it. Who's to say?
You're
wrong.
All right, last one.
Yeah.
Things not good to be late to. Church. That wraps up our segment.
Gotcha. No, I'm just kidding. It is funny. I was talking to somebody yesterday about there is a group. I'm not like it's not always the same people, but it's usually a group of people. Like there's a 15-minute late group always. No matter what service it is, no matter what day it is, they all roll in like as we start the 3rd song, and they're always like,
And it's
Yeah.
by then it's dark too, and it's like
Yeah, and they're like, I'm
trouble
tripping on
finding
the
a seat.
stairs, and you're like,
Yeah,
you know.
the lights are on through the first song. End of the first song usually is our
yeah,
aim.
it's a good rule.
Yeah.
All right, that wraps up Mount Rushmore. What would you not want to be late for? Tell us. We'd love to know.
There's gotta be something funny out there.
Great. Mondo fell asleep behind the camera. It's not that boring, Mondo. Gosh. All right, let's move into Sunday.
All right.
Today's
Sunday.
Monday. Yesterday was Sunday. We had church. It was a great Sunday.
Yeah, we moved into talking about uncluttering
Bitterness.
Yeah, and it wasn't always a message about bitterness. Tell us about what it was going to be and when it changed.
Yeah, it was going to be from worry to worship was the original passage and concept, and I felt like it was a little cluttered. The message was a little cluttered, and I had a lot of conversations. I have like a running note that is just kind of like conversations I've had with people and topics and themes and things and bitterness and forgiveness. I even mentioned on here a couple of weeks ago, I think that like forgiveness and bitterness is like a reoccurring pattern of that people are experiencing, whether they're wrestling with bitterness or someone in proximity to them is bitter. They're like, how do I manage this? How do I grow in this? How do I combat this?
Yeah.
And really kind of Monday morning sat down, began to pray, began to take notes, and was like, really, I think there's a passage in 1 Samuel 24 that really pertains to bitterness, and specifically like it feels like Saul's like last like Hail Mary, like one of his last Hail Marys of like the end of his, like he's like he really thinks he's gonna find peace if he gets rid of David, and so he hunts him down and tries to kill him, and it's like a wild concept that he like hunts him down, then he goes and addresses this issue with the Philistines, and then he immediately goes back to hunting him down. And then David has the opportunity to take out Saul, but he cuts off a piece of his robe instead. And then David immediately repents of that, being like, I shouldn't have even done this. Despite his men are like, go get him, take him out.
Yeah,
This is what the Lord says. And yeah, it's a really interesting story, and it really reveals David's ability to not be bitter and Saul consciously choosing to be bitter. And even after that moment, David repents. He's like, sorry, Saul, like I shouldn't have done this. Saul's like, dude, you're such a righteous guy. Way to not do this. Then a chapter later, Saul's like, gotta go get David. And it just is this picture of bitterness that it's like, bitterness has this ability to make us just kind of like lose ourselves, like lose what is like important, what is valuable, what is good. It's the first point. It's like it consumes our attention. And I think that's what bitterness does. Like we've talked to people in our own lives. I think we may have had our own seasons where like bitterness is just like, you're like, why is this like such a point of contention in your own heart? And why do you keep like just going back to this thing? And that's what bitterness does, is it causes us to just get all of our attention. It causes us to lose our perspective of like what matters and what's good.
Yeah.
And I'm glad we were able to talk about it yesterday. Led to a lot of really good conversations, and I hope it ministered and blessed some people. And yeah, it's a long road. I think bitterness is something that is often tolerated and just kind of like not that big of a deal. It's not, let's not.
One of my favorite things that you said in the sermon, it really stuck out to me. I typed out the line. I'll read it. It's when you said, when the Lord convicts us of things and we just shrug.
Yeah.
That one stung.
Yeah. It's that I said that was my biggest fear of the church, and it's true. Not just our church, all churches. I think that there's just this like this game that Christians can play where it's like, where's the line? How close can I get to the line? How much can I look like the world? And it's like, that's not it at all. I'm not saying it in like a condemning way. I'm saying it in like you have the road to life and to goodness through Jesus Christ, and you're like, like imagine if you're driving a car down the highway and you're like, how close can I get to the ditch? And you're like on the speed thing. You're like, not there yet. And you're like, oh, my car's about to hit the rate. Like, who lives their life that way? Like, the goal is that we like walk in the ways of Jesus because they're better. Like, they're truly better. And my concern is when people are convicted or their hearts are so hard they're not even convicted at all, that they're just like, I'm good.
Why do you think, it's off the cuff, like, why do you think why is it so easy to sit in bitterness for such a long time? Like, bitterness in particular seems like it has the capacity to stick around.
Yeah.
I don't know. Why do you think that is?
I think it gives the illusion of preservation, emotional preservation. It gives us
Say more.
it like gives us this sense of one. It gives us a sense of control in the midst of a moment that we feel like we don't have control. Right? Like let's play this out. Like if you hurt me and I choose bitterness, it gives this sense of like, oh, I'm now in control of the situation because I'm angry, I'm upset, I'm bitter towards you.
Mm-hmm.
It gives the illusion of control. When in all actuality, and like much of sin in general, it gives this sense of like I have my own stuff. Like I can manage this. And it's like, no, it's actually managing you.
Mm.
But I'm like, if I'm angry, I won't feel those things again. I won't put myself in a position where I'm going to feel whatever you said again to feel that way.
Mm-hmm.
And it's the illusion of control is what
Mhm.
it is. And, but it's not control at all. It's actually, as I said, it's it controlling you. But I think that's why we choose bitterness sometimes is like,
Yeah.
oh, I'm not gonna trust that person again. Like they lost, my friendship or whatever. And
something you said Sunday too.
Yeah.
Reminded me that like we there's like we don't like one word, but we don't like bitterness.
Resentment was the word.
Resentment. Yeah, we don't like that word. That one feels heavy, but
Yeah.
bitterness for some reason is a bit more palpable.
Yeah.
Like I was trying to think like why is that? In a weird way, like that's how we describe our candy.
Mm-hmm.
Like candy is bitter.
Oh, it's bitter.
Like,
yeah.
And like I think in a weird way of connection.
Yeah.
Like bitterness, like it's easy to chew on.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Bitter. Like there's just certain words that are like massive in function and in the spectrum of like usage.
Yeah.
And bitter is one of them where it's like, oh, this apple's so bitter. And you're like, also, I'm bitter at this person. You're like, the weight of that is incredibly different. And I think we use the resentment. Like there's no one's like, I resent you. Like that is like, oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Like, and I think that's the thing about bitterness and that's why I want to address it is there's like a levity to the word bitterness. Like, oh, I'm not bitter. You're like, and it's like bitterness is, as I said, this concoction of jealousy and anger and not addressing wounds. And I think that's what makes it kind of tricky to address is it's like anger is anger.
Yeah.
Like, yes, there's wounds behind that, of course, but it's like it funnels out into like anger.
Mixed beverage.
Yeah, where bitterness forms in all kinds of ways.
Yeah.
That's I think what makes it so tricky is it's like it takes form in different ways and it reflects in different ways and it makes it hard to address when it's like looks different amongst each person. As I said, it's like some people are just really cynical.
Yeah.
And it could be because of bitterness.
Yeah.
And some people are just cold people all the time. Could be from bitterness. Some people are just like overly sarcastic and it could be because they're bitter. Not always, but again, it looks different in each individual, I think.
Yep. And then the suggestion from the text and what we discussed was that the way out is
Forgiveness.
through forgiveness.
Yeah.
Why do you think it's just such a human pattern for there to be this cycle of bitterness and forgiveness? And like, why is it so easy to hold on to bitterness, so hard to forgive?
Because
and like, how do we ascend to that level where it's the opposite, where it's easy to let go of bitterness and easy to forgive?
I don't want to say that it's not ever easy to forgive because I think that
there's nuance. Yeah,
because I think through sanctification, through God's grace and the power of the Holy Spirit, it becomes easier. But I think forgiveness is always opposing to the flesh. The flesh is always saying preservation, power, like it's always like back to me. And I think forgiveness is the release and letting go and saying, I can't control this. I may not be able to change this. And I'm trusting God with this. And that like when the Bible says like, lose your life and you'll find it. Like that is what forgiveness is. It is the epitome of losing yourself. It's the losing of the fleshly desire to protect and preserve.
Yeah.
And that's
like John Guerra.
Yeah.
The million love has a million disguises.
Yeah.
Winning is not one.
Winning is simply not one.
Yeah.
Shout out to John Guerra. It's a great record. Is there something about it? It's just like the idea of forgiving people is like it's this weird thing that like you're releasing them of any hurt that they've done to you but it's also releasing it in your own heart towards them. And I spoke about this in our second service, not our first, because I had so many people talking about it afterwards, is I think forgiveness can be confusing because I think when we talk about forgiveness, people sometimes tie like an untethered access to your heart as a result of forgiveness. And that's not what forgiveness is. Because you forgive somebody doesn't mean you're like, now you can say and do whatever, and I will give you my ear and my heart and my attention. That's unwise. But I think forgiveness includes boundaries and wisdom and lowering input of certain voices. There's certain people in my life who I've forgiven for that I've been wronged by, but like it doesn't mean I let them like come over to my house all the time. It doesn't like they don't have I don't
Right.
let them call me all the time. There's just like that's just conventional wisdom. Is just like I've forgiven them. I don't hold the wrong against them by any means, and I hope the same when if I've wronged somebody, I hope they can forgive me if I've sought out repentance and forgiveness from them.
Yeah.
But there's also boundaries in
Yep.
place, and I think that people should be able to hold forgiveness in one hand and hold boundaries simultaneously in the other, and be like, these are okay.
Yeah.
Where I think a lot of people are like, nope, forgiveness is full 100% grace. Do whatever you want. And like there's some instances where that is not good. And releasing them from their offenses and you releasing like your own heart and frustration, anger towards them, but still creating space is okay. Like, and
good neighbors make good or good fences make good neighbors. The old
maybe,
adage.
Maybe I don't know. I'll have to think about that one. But
yeah.
So
boundaries are good.
Yeah, boundaries are a good thing, and I think it helps us combat bitterness in its own way. I wrote a little bit about it. I just didn't feel like it fit into the whole thing. I felt like it kind of strayed off, and then a lot of people asked about it after first service. This is the first Sunday in a while that I've ended up getting caught by people all the way up to the timer of the second service, which is great because it means people are thinking and talking and praying, and I love that. But it definitely gave me some insight of like, oh, this is on people's minds, so we got to address it second service, which was cool to do. So,
is there anything left unsaid about bitterness?
Yeah, I think I was really careful about the word choices we did, especially in the points, and we even changed one of them Sunday morning because I had made a typo on my manuscript, which was I think bitterness is easier. I didn't emphasize it as well as I wish I did. I did it in my notes, but I didn't do it in the service very well. That I think when bitterness, if you are bitter, I think we avoid conviction at all costs because I think bitterness tries to preserve bitterness. I think it's one of those qualities that is like, if you even bring up the possibility of like, hey, like it seems like, and it's just like, nope, and again, deflect and preservation, and I think the idea of when we think about bitterness, it's easier to prescribe it to others than ourselves. And I hope and pray that people were able to navigate their own hearts rather than being like, yep, this person that, my neighbor is so bitter, my mom or whomever, pick whoever you want. They're just bitter. They're a bitter person. It's easier.
Speck and log parable.
Situation. Yep. Where they're quick to be like, they're bitter, but not me. You're like, man, I hope that they heard that message for themselves.
Yeah.
And
impulses to search your own heart.
Yeah. And that's why we shifted it from R to my. Because I think R is just like the room, which I think there's moments where we took collectively together, we are a church that does blank. But I think there's like my is just like, I mean, like at the end of the day, like you're going to go home and your personal walk with the Lord is your responsibility. My job is to shepherd and teach and to, that's my job as the pastor of this church.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, like you're standing, like I will not stand beside you when you stand before the Lord and like, well, this person, like that's not how it works. And I hope people take personal responsibility when they're given a message like this, for their own good, their own spiritual well-being.
Yeah, absolutely.
So
I think this one in particular, bitterness of so far to date of this series, I feel like bitterness is one of those that like just it's one of the bigger weights off of you once it's uncluttered.
100%.
Just one of the more insidious ones that like you feel physiologically when it's removed.
Yeah. And the reason I felt comfortable speaking on this one in particular is I had a situation about a year and a half ago where there was somebody who took residency in my heart and my mind for way too long. And I got to the point where I was like, I have to address this. Like it was like not a direct offense. So like when I think someone like directly offends you, like, or does something, it's really easy to be like, hey, you did this. Can we like
Mhm.
talk about it? But it was like kind of just a series
It
of
can be
events.
complicated.
Yeah, it was a series of events, and it was just kind of like it was a long period of time, and it got to the point where I was like, I thought I forgave them, and I ended up having to sit down with them to like have a formal, hey, I have to bring this to your attention, and I didn't care what their response was,
Mhm.
like, and I don't mean that like I wasn't mean. I was actually very calm. I just said like, hey, as a result of these things, I just want to
Yeah.
let you know the flip side of the what happened as a byproduct of that.
You have to
And
let go of the outcome, is what you're saying.
correct,
Yeah.
correct. Because they could have, I think, each one like, no,
Yeah.
okay, that's fine. But like,
Mhm.
I remember, like after that conversation, which ended up being a really, really good conversation,
Mhm.
and like it was a really, I think they were shocked that it was even came to a conversation. I think it was one of those things where it was like it gets awkward. So you're like, we're just gonna put space. We'll never see each other or talk about it again. I mean, I hadn't talked to the person in
Mhm.
almost 2 years. It was like it was a long time. And the physical relief after the conversation, because like when I left, I consciously knew it was like, no, I truly forgave them and
Mhm.
released the bitter. Like I don't want to call it bitterness because that's like bad, right? Bitter,
Yeah.
like it's like ew, gross, bitterness.
Yeah.
But like it was like, no, I was bitter. I was really hurt and I was really angry.
Yeah.
And it would like just I'd see things or hear things, or when somebody brought that name up, it just immediately like flared up
Mhm.
in my heart that I just like I was angrier and more on edge than I should have been. And it like came to a head where I was like, no, this is bitterness.
Mhm.
And I had to release it. And it was through the form of forgiveness and a conversation. It wasn't enough for me just to like, because I would like, I forgive them. I forgive them.
Wouldn't it be cool if we could just settle bitterness just in our own mind?
Yeah, it'd be
quietly?
awesome, but it often doesn't work that way.
Yeah.
And so yeah, and so it ended up being a good thing and a good conversation, but it's something that like for sure clicked in my mind of like, oh, this a lot of our stuff there's proactiveness that required. Like it's not just like again, not in our own
Up to
mind.
the
Just
head
like,
to the hands.
yep,
Yeah.
yep.
There
So
it is again.
yeah,
Mhm.
but that was something that God really shown me.
Mhm.
And so like I resonate with that. Like this was not something that was like hard for me to talk about because I felt like this is something that I've been going through for a long season, like
Mhm.
of like growing in this. So yeah, I'm glad it was. I don't know. This was probably my favorite one so far. This
Yeah.
one and Control, I think, were my top two.
Yeah. Awesome. Next week we got.
I'm not sure actually.
Sweet.
I wrote it down and then I
Mhm.
got confused and had my dates mixed up, so I have to double check the board again.
Awesome.
So
We'll see what-
it's my fault. I
TBD.
apologize. Yeah.
All right.
I know it's yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I thought I did.
Yeah, we'll keep it close to the
I don't want to
chest.
misspeak. I'm pretty sure I know what it is, but I don't want to say that and then be wrong. So
All right, awesome. That'll be the Sunday
it'll be a
segment.
surprise. Sunday surprise.
All right.
So
Final stretch. Let's do another segment, huh? Before we end the day, we'll do another top five, huh?
let's do it.
It's my turn to bring.
I think this is our last
little
top five.
top five. You think so?
Yeah, I think so.
It used to be wildly popular, but
It's less wildly popular.
it's just the summer of change. All right. Top 5
Mhm.
highest grossing movies of all time. Top 5
Easy.
highest grossing movies
Easy.
of all time. What do you think? I'll
I'm-
give you some clues along the way.
I'm really bad at this. This is like I am
Really? I thought for sure this category would.
Oh, I'm so
You've for sure heard of
bad.
all these
All right,
movies.
all right, that's good to know.
Mhm.
Is yeah, that's a dumb question. I recant.
We're a lot of
Titanic,
Yep. Number 4.
Avatar,
Which one?
the first one, Avatar.
Yes,
Avatar.
number 1.
Avatar, the water one,
Number 3. You have 2 and
Uh,
5 left.
Infinity War, part
No.
1. Oh, Endgame.
Correct. Number 2.
Which one am I
1, 2, 3,
missing?
and 4. We have number
5?
5 left. 2015 was the year.
2015. That's like a long time ago. 2015. The Dark Knight.
No. Nope.
I feel like that was pre 2015, wasn't it?
Anyone off camera? No.
I graduated in 20.
Yeah. What was the hot movie?
This is why the Elijah and Amando show is no more. 2015.
It's on hiatus.
Is it like
Yep.
sci-fi?
Sci-fi action adventure.
Is it Marvel movie?
No. It grossed $2 billion.
Oh. Is it 2015? Dang, dude.
It's part of a long saga of movies.
Star Wars.
Correct.
Specifically, that would be the last. No, that's what episode 3.
Can you do it?
I get really
Do it?
I get them all confused.
There's so many of them now. Do you know it?
I don't
Anyone
know.
out
It's
there?
the first one. It's the
The Force Awakens.
That's I want to I was like the Last Jedi. That's not it.
That is correct.
Yeah.
Well done.
Do you like the new Star Wars movies?
I really liked Rogue One. I thought
Yeah,
that was an
Rogue One was
awesome
great.
glue.
Yeah.
But the rest I could do without.
I wanted to like the new 3. I just felt like the third one fell so flat, in my opinion. Is it the first of the 3 that has the red sand, or is that the third one? I don't know. They're all blurry. They're all meh.
Mm-hmm.
Then the yellow lightsaber really lost me. So
Oh yeah,
really just not my thing. All right, that concludes this episode of Open Water.
That
hope it was a great time.
Hope you're having a great summer out there.
Yeah, staying cool. Eat some popsicles.
Yeah,
Swim in a
north.
pool. Stay away from gators. Let me pray. Dear Father, thank you for today. Thank you for this time. Pray that as we navigate bitterness in our own hearts, God, I ask that we can lean into forgiveness. There's areas that we hold bitterness towards other people, towards ourselves, towards circumstances. God, I ask that we can begin the process of healing and releasing that and addressing the wounds that we may have experienced along the way. God, I pray that we can sit in the truth that your grace is enough, and that if we are followers of Jesus and we claim your name and put our belief in you, we've been forgiven. And so, God, with that in mind, may we be quick to forgive others. Thank you for your grace and your mercy, and we commit all of this to you. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
Till next week, friends.
Join us next week where Pastor Marty does a handstand.
Nope.